Love is one of the most complex and often misunderstood aspects of human relationships. And today, we're going to explore a tough but necessary truth. Many of us grow up with the fairy tale idea of unconditional love, this notion that someone will love us no matter what, with no boundaries or expectations. But when it comes to romantic relationships, especially between men and women, the reality is often different. Women, just like men, have their own set of desires, expectations, and boundaries when it comes to love and partnership. Relationships are built on mutual benefit, emotional support, and shared values, rather than an idealized concept of love without conditions. This video isn't about blaming anyone or creating division. It's about opening your eyes to understand human nature and relationship dynamics. By facing these truths, you can develop healthier expectations and build stronger, more fulfilling relationships. Stay tuned as we unpack why this happens, the social and biological factors at play, and what you can do to better understand and grow from this reality. Let's get to the heart of it. No sugarcoating, just the raw, honest truth. 1. Conditional love in relationships. The truth no one wants to admit. Let's rip the Band-Aid off right now. Women do not love men unconditionally. That's not a jab. That's not bitterness. It's just the raw, unfiltered truth. And the sooner men understand it, the better they can protect their hearts and build meaningful, stable lives. We grow up being sold a fantasy. Movies, books, love songs, they all paint this picture of love that's pure, limitless, and eternal. But in the real world, especially for men, love often comes with terms and conditions. It's not necessarily malicious or manipulative, it's just the way our social dynamics are structured. A woman's love is deeply intertwined with a man's value, potential, and stability. Here's how it often plays out. A woman meets a man. She feels drawn to his energy, ambition, confidence, and drive. But if that drive falters, if he stops progressing, if he loses his job, if he becomes stagnant, suddenly the warmth changes, maybe slowly at first. A little less affection, more complaints, subtle criticisms. Eventually, some women will exit the relationship altogether, not because they never cared, but because they loved the man he was, or the man he was becoming, not the man he became when life hit him hard. Now contrast that with how many men operate. Men are more likely to love from the ground up. They're willing to build with a woman, to stick through the broke days, the depression, the uncertainty. Men often provide love despite circumstance, but women? Women tend to love based on circumstance. It's not wrong, it's not evil, but it is conditional. You'll hear people say, she stayed with him when he had nothing. Sure, and that's admirable, but how long did she stay? 6 months? A year? 2? That clock does tick. If a man doesn't get back on his feet within a certain window, her patience turns into resentment, and that's the brutal truth. A man must continuously earn his spot in a woman's life. That's why your value is everything. Not just monetary value, but emotional resilience, ambition, masculinity, leadership, and purpose. A woman can admire you, support you, even love you deeply. But if your trajectory stalls for too long, that admiration fades. That support turns into frustration. That love, it begins to wither. Don't hate the game. Understand it. Learn from it. And most of all, be the kind of man who never stops evolving. Because in this world, unconditional love for a man is a myth, and chasing it will only leave you broken. 2. Societal expectations in dating. The double standard nobody talks about. Let's talk about the massive double standard that exists in dating, and how it reveals another layer of the brutal truth. When a man walks into a room, the first question people ask is, what does he do? What's his job? His income? His car? His net worth? His future potential? Society, and by extension women, measure men based on their ability to provide, protect, and produce. Now flip it. When a woman walks into a room, what's the question? Is she attractive? Is she hot? Does she take care of herself? The lens through which women are judged in the dating world is heavily appearance-based. Her social value is often tied to her beauty, femininity, and charm. This is not about fairness, it's about reality. Men are not loved simply for existing. They are loved for their utility, for their output, for their status and skill set. A man who is broke but has potential is tolerated. A man who is broke and stagnant? forgotten. Meanwhile, a woman can be loved just for being beautiful, sweet, and present, even if she has no financial contribution to the relationship. This dynamic creates pressure, immense pressure. Men feel like they're constantly auditioning, constantly proving, constantly performing just to be considered worthy of love. And let's be real, many women don't even know they're doing it. These expectations are so baked into culture that they just feel natural. And this is why so many men silently suffer. They know that if they lose their job, their status, their edge, the love in their life may start to decay. That's not paranoia, it's pattern recognition. It's the realization that love, for men, is conditional on relevance. It's not enough to be kind. It's not enough to be loyal. You need to be valuable. Society won't throw you a safety net just because you're trying. There's no applause for effort, only results. If you want to succeed in love, in dating, in life, you must play by the rules of reality, not the fantasy. And reality says this: men are measured by what they bring to the table. Every single time. 3. Men as works in progress, the silent weight we carry. Here's a metaphor that'll hit home for a lot of guys. Men are like buildings under construction. No matter how far you've come, there's always another floor to build, another pipe to fix, another improvement to make. And standing right outside, often a woman holding blueprints, pointing out what's missing. You could be more emotionally available. You should hit the gym more. Why aren't you earning what your friend is? Meanwhile, women are treated like pristine structures, adored for their current state, protected, praised, maintained, but not critiqued with the same intensity, not constantly told to improve or upgrade. This dynamic creates an exhausting reality. Men are expected to strive for perfection, while women are celebrated for simply being. Now listen, many women are nurturing, loving, and supportive. This isn't an attack on all women. It's a spotlight on a truth men feel but rarely voice. The pressure to constantly improve can be a good thing. It drives men to build, to grow, to achieve. But it becomes toxic when that effort is never enough. When love feels like a report card. When your worth as a man is tethered to how much you've fixed, built, earned, or improved, not who you are at your core. Men carry a quiet burden, the feeling that who they are today is never quite good enough. And in many relationships, this comes from a partner who loves them, yes, but who also subtly reinforces that they are always a project, never the finished product. That kind of dynamic wears a man down. It creates performance anxiety, emotional burnout, resentment, and sadly, when a man finally hits a wall and says, "I just need to be accepted as I am," too often the response is silence or distance. We need to talk about this. We need to stop pretending men don't need emotional safety. We need to stop acting like men aren't human beings with breaking points. And most of all, we need to understand that this constant construction site mentality isn't sustainable. Men should strive to grow. For themselves, their purpose, their legacy, not just to keep a woman from leaving. Because if your worth is always up for review, then you're not in a relationship. You're in a performance contract. And brother, you deserve more than that. 4. Women's nature and priorities. She's wired for survival, not sentiment. Here's a truth that'll sting if you've been living in the fantasy of fairy tales. Women prioritize safety, security, and stability, especially when it comes to long-term relationships. Not because they're shallow, not because they're manipulative, but because they're wired that way. It's not a flaw in their character. It's embedded deep in their DNA. Throughout history, women have always had one core priority: protecting themselves and their children. In primitive times, choosing the wrong man could literally mean death. If a man couldn't hunt, defend, or provide, the woman and her offspring would be at serious risk. Fast forward to modern times, and while the dangers have changed, the instinct has not. Today, that hunter may be a man who can pay rent, stay emotionally grounded, and build a future. It's biology, it's evolution, it's reality. And because of that, women are constantly evaluating their options. You might think, if she loves me, why does she need options? The answer is simple. Women don't love blindly. They love conditionally, and those conditions often revolve around security. Emotional, financial, physical, and social. This is why women can seem hyper-aware of who's around them, who's pursuing them, what those men can offer, and how they stack up to you. It's not that they're always plotting to leave. It's that they're always measuring. Is she with a man who can make her feel secure? Can he weather the storm? Can he lead, protect, and provide? If not, she may not say it out loud, but in the back of her mind, she's already questioning your place in her life. And here's another brutal reality. Women have more options in dating than men do. The average woman, even a modestly attractive one, gets far more attention than the average man. That attention creates choice, and choice creates power. So when a woman chooses to stay with a man, she's not doing it blindly. She's constantly comparing him to the other possibilities. This isn't about being cynical. It's about being prepared. If you're a man trying to build something real, understand her instincts. Respect them, but don't get blindsided by them. If you want to stay in her heart, you better stay in motion. Because love without value, love without strength, love without direction won't survive her nature. 5. Men's role and focus. Be the man she can't replace. This might be the most important point in this entire conversation. A man's purpose must come before everything else. Period. Let's get one thing straight. Your mission isn't optional, and it definitely shouldn't take a backseat to love, lust, or validation. The moment you start prioritizing a relationship over your personal growth, your ambition, your goals, you lose the very energy that made her want you in the first place. Men were not built to orbit women. We were built to conquer, build, and evolve. And when you're walking in your purpose, the right woman aligns with that. She doesn't become your purpose. She becomes a companion on the path, not the path itself. But here's what happens to too many men. They fall for someone, and they lose themselves. They stop grinding. They get comfortable. They skip workouts. They let their hustle slide. They become soft, emotionally and physically. And what happens next? The attraction fades. The respect crumbles. And the love? Well, it starts to feel conditional. Because it is. Let's be clear. You need to increase your value constantly. Not for women. Not for clout. But for yourself. You should be obsessed with becoming the best version of you. You should wake up hungry. Hungry to win, to grow, to evolve. Women are drawn to power, not potential. They admire drive, not dependency. This doesn't mean you shut love out. It means you don't let love derail your purpose. When you chase your mission, the right women chase you. When you put your purpose last, the wrong women leave you. So stop chasing her. Start chasing you. And when you become a man who's locked into his vision, grounded in his power, and disciplined in his habits, you become irreplaceable. 6. Relationship dynamics. She's always testing you, even if she doesn't realize it. If you think relationships are peaceful once you're in for a rude awakening. The testing never ends. And no, it's not always intentional or malicious. It's often subconscious. But it's real. Women test men. Constantly, emotionally, physically, energetically. Why? Because she's trying to confirm, day in and day out, that you are still the man she chose. That you still make her feel secure, seen, desired, and inspired. If there's even a dip in one of these categories, validation, attention, novelty, or stability, she starts wondering if this relationship is still what she signed up for. Maybe she gets a little more distant. Maybe she starts picking small fights. Maybe she starts mentioning how her coworker listens better. Sound familiar? This isn't just drama. It's a check-in. She's testing your energy, your focus, your presence. She wants to see if you've let yourself go, physically, emotionally, or mentally. If you've started taking her for granted. If you're still the grounded, powerful man she fell for, or just a guy who's now coasting. That's why you have to stay sharp. Balance is the name of the game, but let's be honest. Perfect balance is a myth. Life will pull at you from all angles: work, fitness, finances, family, and yes, relationships. You won't always hit every note. But the moment you start neglecting your edge, she'll feel it. And she'll react. She may not even realize she's testing you, but her behavior will shift. Her energy will change. And if you're not grounded in who you are and what you're building, you'll start playing defense. Chasing, apologizing, shrinking. Don't! Instead, build a life where your presence is felt, not begged for. Where your energy speaks louder than your words. Where your purpose anchors you, and your self-discipline keeps you high value, even when life gets messy. A strong man doesn't pass every test because he's trying to prove something. He passes because he is something. 7. Masculine frame and self-purpose. You lose that frame, you lose everything. Let's make something crystal clear from the jump. If you lose your masculine frame, you lose her respect, and eventually, her love. So what is the masculine frame? It's not just a posture or a tone of voice. It's not about fake alpha energy or being emotionally shut off. Your masculine frame is your mental and emotional foundation. It's your unshakable identity. It's the fire in your gut that keeps you focused on your goals. It's the calm when chaos hits. It's the refusal to let your entire world orbit around her moods, her needs, or her approval. When a man holds his frame, he says, "I am grounded in who I am. I'm not easily swayed. I love you, but I don't need you to be whole." That's power. That's what women respond to. That's what they respect. But here's the fatal mistake many men make. Once they get the girl, they get comfortable. They trade their mission for domesticity. They stop pushing themselves, stop growing, stop striving. They hand over the leadership of their own lives and wait for their partner to set the tone. They become soft, not just physically, but mentally and spiritually. And here's the truth that'll slap the naive right out of you. A ring doesn't guarantee loyalty, and commitment doesn't guarantee unconditional love. If anything, comfort is the beginning of your decline. A woman may say she wants a man to be vulnerable, and yes, she wants emotional connection. But what she wants even more is a man she can look up to. A man who stands firm, who leads, who doesn't flinch when life throws punches. And if she sees you unravel under the pressure of life, or worse, under the pressure of her emotions, she will begin to detach. A man in his masculine frame doesn't become a tyrant. He becomes an anchor. He walks with purpose. He doesn't get pulled into drama. He doesn't beg for love. He commands presence just by being himself. So if you want a woman to stay drawn to you, to stay emotionally invested, to stay magnetized, don't just hold your frame, live in it, and never ever abandon your mission for comfort. 8. Avoiding overaccommodation. Stop being her dancing monkey. You've probably heard the phrase, happy wife, happy life. It sounds noble, right? Put her first. Keep her smiling. Do whatever it takes to keep the peace. Wrong. That's the mindset that turns strong men into dancing monkeys, desperately trying to entertain, please, and cater to a woman's every mood, whim, or emotional swing. And guess what? It backfires every time. The truth is, women don't want to be pedestalized. They don't want a yes man who bends over backward for them. They want a man who's grounded in his values, who knows when to say yes, and more importantly, when to say no, who doesn't fear her reaction or withhold his truth to avoid conflict. When a man overaccommodates, he's essentially saying, your comfort is more important than my identity. Your approval is more important than my mission. And once that dynamic sets in, she begins to lose attraction. Not because she's cruel, but because deep down she wants a man with backbone. Not a pushover, not a puppet. A king, not a jester. Yes, emotional attunement matters, but overcorrection kills attraction. When you let her emotional highs and lows determine your self-worth, you become reactive, not responsive. You become emotionally dependent on her validation. That's the exact opposite of masculine leadership. A high-value man listens, but he doesn't grovel. He empathizes, but he doesn't submit. He supports, but he doesn't sacrifice his self-respect. So the next time you feel tempted to jump through hoops to keep her, ask yourself this: are you leading or are you performing? Because a woman might laugh at the dancing monkey, but she won't follow him. 9. Acceptance of reality. Let go of the fairy tale. Embrace the facts. Now let's talk about one of the hardest pills for men to swallow. Relationships are conditional. Period. And if you're still walking through life hoping to be loved just for who you are, you're setting yourself up for heartbreak. Because love doesn't work like that, not in the real world. You are loved based on your value, your strength, your leadership, your energy. You are loved based on how you make her feel, what you bring to the table, and the presence you command in her life. And when those things slip, when your fire dims, when your direction weakens, when you start seeking her happiness more than your own, her desire dies. It's not about blame. It's about truth. No one's asking you to become a cold, heartless machine. But if you're carrying the weight of the relationship on your back, constantly trying to fix things, trying to make her feel okay all the time, you're draining yourself for a fantasy. She is not your responsibility. Her happiness is not your job. You are not her savior. You are her partner. if and only if she shows up for you with equal energy, equal effort, and equal respect. If she doesn't, you walk, you rebuild, you refocus. Too many men lose themselves trying to hold something together that was never meant to last. They ignore red flags. They sacrifice their purpose. They tolerate disrespect, all in the name of love. But real love doesn't require you to become less. It demands that you become more, so if she leaves, let her. If she pulls away, let her. If she tries to test your worth, show her what life without you feels like. Not out of bitterness, out of power. Because at the end of the day, a high-value man accepts that relationships are part of life, not the center of it. He knows love is beautiful but fleeting. He knows the only thing permanent in his life is his purpose. And when he walks with that kind of clarity, the right people follow. Final word. The brutal truth? Unconditional love is a myth for men. You will be loved for your strength, your presence, your mission, not for your existence. So hold your frame, stop over-accommodating, and embrace the fact that your life, your peace, your progress, they come first. Because when you finally stop chasing the illusion of unconditional love and start becoming a man of unshakable value, you'll realize you were never meant to be chosen. You were meant to choose yourself.